Adjoin. Adjoin.
A vacant plot of land adjoins his house. Adjoining rooms.
Adjourn. Adjourn.
It was almost noon when the meeting adjourned. Congress has adjourned for the November elections. His trial was adjourned until May. The rest of us adjourned to a nearby pub for some refreshments. The rest of us adjourned to a nearby pub for some refreshments. We sought an adjournment of the proceedings.
Adjudge. Adjudge.
The reforms of 1979 were generally adjudged to have failed.
Adjudicate. Adjudicate.
The dean adjudicates any faculty disputes. The judge adjudicated that he should be released. He adjudicated at all the regional music competitions. An impartial adjudicator.
Adjunct. Adjunct.
Online instruction is a useful adjunct to the real thing.
Adjure. Adjure.
Adjure. Gwen adjured him to be truthful.
Adjust. Adjust.
They'll soon settle in. Kids are very good at adjusting. It took a few seconds for her eyes to adjust to the darkness. My parents had trouble adjusting to living in an apartment. It took time to adjust myself to motherhood. Check and adjust the brakes regularly. Taste the soup and adjust the seasoning. If your employment status changes, your tax code will be adjusted accordingly.
Adjustable. Adjustable.
Adjustable.
An adjustable spanner.
Adjustment. Adjustment.
Once we make the adjustments for inflation, the fall in interest rates is quite small. A slight adjustment to the mechanism. It just needs a few minor adjustments. A period of adjustment. Her adjustment to her new role.
Adjutant. Adjutant. Adjutant.
Adland. Adland.
Anything that grabs your attention is good in Adland.
Ad-lib. Ad-lib.
I never use a script. I just ad-lib the whole program. I never use a script. I just ad-lib the whole program.
Adman. Adman. Admin. Admin.
An admin assistant. She works in admin.
Administer. Administer.
The money will be administered by local charities. Our office administers the affairs of the society. It is not the job of the police to administer justice. That falls to the courts. Peli had responsibility for administering to the needs of 500,000 people. The test was administered to all 11-year-olds. Painkillers were administered to the boy. This unit teaches students how to administer first aid.
Administration. Administration.
We're looking for someone with experience in administration. The health service spends too much on administration. The college administration. The Kennedy administration. The problem has been ignored by successive administrations. The administration of justice. The administration of sedatives.
Administrative. Administrative.
The job is mainly administrative. The administrative costs of healthcare systems. An administrative assistant. Staff who provide technical and administrative support to the college.
Administrator. Administrator. Admirable. Admirable.
An admirable achievement.
Admiral. Admiral.
Admiral.
Admiralty. Admiralty.
Admiralty.
Admiration. Admiration.
Daniel gazed at her in admiration.
I wanted to express my admiration for the way the crew handled the crisis.
Her writing soon drew the admiration of the older girls.
Admire. Admire.
I really admire the way she brings up those kids all on her own. Lewis was much admired for his work on medieval literature. We stopped halfway to admire the view. Sal stood back to admire her work.
Admirer. Admirer.
A beautiful woman with many admirers. A secret admirer. A crowd of fervent admirers. I'm a great admirer of yours, she managed to stammer.
Admiring.
Admiring glances.
Admissible. Admissible.
Admissible evidence.
Admission. Admission.
The senator's admission that he had lied to Congress shocked many Americans. Silence is often interpreted as an admission of guilt. Reese, by his own admission, lacks the necessary experience.
No admission after 10 p.m.
The young men tried to enter a nightclub, but were refused admission. Women gained admission to the club only recently. Those applying for admission to university. The college has a very selective admissions policy. The admissions officer. There are 13,000 hospital admissions annually due to playground accidents. Admission, $10 for adults, $5 for children. The cost includes free admission to the casinos. The museum has no admission charge.
Admit. Admit.
Okay, so maybe I was a little bit scared, Jenny admitted. You may not like her, but you have to admit that she's good at her job. Paul admitted to me that he sometimes feels jealous of my friendship with Stanley. I must admit, I didn't actually do anything to help her. Admit it, I'm right, aren't I? Dana admitted feeling hurt by what I had said. Phillips openly admits to having an alcohol problem. Green admitted causing death by reckless driving. A quarter of all workers admit to taking time off when they are not ill. No organization has admitted responsibility for the bombing. Only ticket holders will be admitted into the stadium.
Admittance. Admittance.
Gaining admittance to the club was no easy matter.
Admittedly. Admittedly.
This has led to financial losses, though admittedly on a fairly small scale. This has led to financial losses, though admittedly on a fairly small scale.
Admixture. Admixture.
Admonish. Admonish.
The witness was admonished for failing to answer the question.
Admonition. Admonition.
An admonitory glance.
Ad nauseam. Ad nauseam.
Look, we've been over this ad nauseum. I think we should move on to the next item.
Ado. Ado.
So without further ado, I'll now ask Mr. Davis to open the debate.
Adobe. Adobe.
Adolescence. Adolescence.
Adolescent. Adolescent.
Adolescent girls.
Adonis. Adonis.
Adopt. Adopt.
Sally was adopted when she was 4. The couple are unable to have children of their own, but hope to adopt. The courts were asked to adopt a more flexible approach to young offenders. The store recently adopted a drug testing policy for all new employees. California has adopted a tough stance on the issue. Kim adopts a Southern accent when speaking to family back home. Congress finally adopted the law after a 2-year debate. Stevens became a Muslim and adopted the name Yusuf Islam. Becoming a member of a society means adopting its values.
Adopted. Adopted.
His adopted son.
Adoption. Adoption.
She decided to put the baby up for adoption.
Adoptive. Adoptive.
Adorable. Adorable.
Oh, what an adorable little baby!
Adoration. Adoration.
The look of adoration in his eyes.
Adore. Adore.
Betty adores her grandchildren. I simply adore chocolate.
Adoring. Adoring.
His adoring fans.
Adorn. Adorn.
Church walls adorned with religious paintings.
Adornment. Adornment. Adrenaline. Adrenaline.
There's nothing like a good horror film to get the adrenaline going.
Adrift. Adrift.
Several of the lifeboats were still afloat a month after being cast adrift.
A young woman adrift in London. Her hair was forever coming adrift from the pins she used to keep it in place. Her hair was forever coming adrift from the pins she used to keep it in place.
Adroit. Adroit.
An adroit negotiator.
ADSL.
Adulation. Adulation.
Adult. Adult.
Some children find it difficult to talk to adults.
The adults have white bodies and grey backs.
An adult lion. The adult population.
He lived most of his adult life in Scotland.
Dealing with problems in an adult way. That wasn't very adult of you. The film is rated R for language and adult themes.
Adult education. Adult education.
Adulterant. Adulterant. Adulterate. Adulterate. Adulterer. Adulterer.
Adulteress. Adulteress. Adultery. Adultery.
She had committed adultery on several occasions.
Adulthood. Adulthood.
Adumbrate. Adumbrate.
Advance. Advance.
I should warn you in advance that I'm not a very good dancer. Many thanks in advance for your help.
Book tickets 21 days in advance.
Could you distribute copies well in advance of the meeting? Their aircraft were in advance of those used by the U.S. One of the great technological advances of the 20th century. A major advance. Recent advances in genetics have raised moral questions. An advance on previous treatments. The advances made in the understanding of mental handicap.
The enemy's advance on St. Petersburg.
A $500 advance. Krebs decided to ask for an advance on his salary. She accused her boss of making advances to her. The witness said that he went berserk when she rejected his sexual advances. A line of U.S. tanks slowly advanced. The army advanced across the plain. Our understanding of human genetics has advanced considerably. The group's research has done much to advance our knowledge of the HIV virus.
Will they advance you some money until you get your first paycheck?
I advanced $1,500 to Kramer last Thursday. Jameson agreed to the deal in an effort to advance his political career. The meeting has been advanced to 10 o'clock. We received no advance warning of the storm.
Advanced. Advanced.
Advanced. Advanced weapon systems. Advanced technology. High levels of unemployment in the advanced industrial societies.
Advanced learners of English.
Advanced physics.
The disease was too far advanced to be treated.
Despite his advanced age, he often traveled abroad.
Advanced level. Advanced level.
Advanced fee fraud. Advanced fee fraud.
Advancement. Advancement.
Career advancement. Advancements in science.
Advancing. Advancing.
Blake had grown much quieter, another sign of his advancing years.
Advantage. Advantage.
Her experience meant that she had a big advantage over her opponent. Younger workers tend to be at an advantage when applying for jobs. It might be to your advantage to take a computer course of some kind. One of the many advantages of living in New York is that you can eat out at almost any time of day.
This printer has several advantages over conventional printers. Don't lend them the car. They're taking advantage of you.
I took advantage of the good weather to paint the shed. You'll want to take full advantage of the beachfront clubs. How could he turn the situation to his advantage? Burns used his family connections to good advantage. Her dress showed her tan skin to great advantage.
Advantaged. Advantaged.
Some of the boys come from less advantaged backgrounds.
Advantageous. Advantageous.
He was now in a more advantageous position. Terms advantageous to foreign companies.
Advent. Advent. Advent.
The advent of the computer.
Advent calendar. Advent calendar.
Adventitious. Adventitious.
Adventure. Adventure.
A great adventure. Ahab's adventures at sea. An adventure story. Come on, where's your sense of adventure?
Adventure playground. Adventure playground. Adventurer. Adventurer.
An adventurer traveling the world.
Adventurism. Adventurism.
Adventurous. Adventurous.
Andy isn't a very adventurous cook.
Adverb. Adverb.
Adverbial. Adverbial.
An adverbial phrase.
Adversarial. Adversarial.
The adversarial nature of two-party politics.
Adversary. Adversary.
His old adversary.
Adverse. Adverse.
They fear it could have an adverse effect on global financial markets. Miller's campaign has received a good deal of adverse publicity. The expedition was abandoned because of adverse weather conditions, developments which had adversely affected their business.
Adversity. Adversity.
His courage in the face of adversity.
Advert. Advert.
Advert. Advert.
Advertise. Advertise.
They no longer advertise alcohol or cigarettes at sporting events. Many companies will only advertise in the Sunday paper. The inn is advertised as being from the early 16th century. Colleges and universities have found that it pays to advertise. A poster advertising the concert. I see they're advertising for a new sales director.
Don't advertise the fact that you're looking for another job.
Advertisement. Advertisement.
The Sunday papers are full of advertisements for cars. She saw an advertisement for a ski vacation in Vermont. They put an advertisement in the morning news offering a high salary for the right person. The organizers of the concert had taken out a full-page advertisement in the New York Times. Only a handful of people answered the advertisement. He's a very good advertisement for the benefits of regular exercise.
Advertiser. Advertiser.
The Stockport Advertiser.
Advertising. Advertising.
Advertising aimed at 18 to 25-year-olds. A career in advertising. Both candidates are spending millions on television advertising.
A major advertising campaign.
The advertising slogan, "Come alive with Pepsi."
Advertising agency. Advertising agency.
Advertorial. Advertorial.
Advice. Advice.
You should have followed my advice. Advice on saving energy. I need some advice about my computer.
On her doctor's advice, Smith decided to take early retirement.
Advice column. Advice column. Advisable. Advisable.
Regular medical checkups are advisable. It is advisable to write a career objective at the start of your resume.
Advise. Advise.
She needed someone to advise her.
Evans advised him to leave London.
You are strongly advised to take out medical insurance when visiting China.
I'd advise you against saying anything to the press.
Experts advise that you should avoid being in strong sunlight for long periods.
The makers advise extreme caution when handling this material.
I would advise you to speak to a doctor.
Make sure that you keep the documents in a safe place, Otley advised him.
If you need more information, I'm sure your lawyer can advise.
He advises us on tax matters. She's been asked to advise on training the new sales team. He advises us on tax matters.
Matthew advises people how to invest their money.
We'll advise you of any changes in the delivery dates. Keep us advised of any new developments. They advised him that the tour would proceed. You would be well advised to stay in bed and rest.
Advisedly. Advisedly.
He behaved like a dictator, and I used the term advisedly.